So I'm sure from time to time, with your iron strikes, your fairway wood strikes off the ground, you struggle to make consistent contact. Don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, I've just had a lot of students this week, and probably about 90% of them were really struggling to make consistent contact off the ground. And the usual thing, they were trying to keep their handle forward, trying to get their weight forward, but none of it was really working, because all of it was very unnatural. In this video, I'm going to show you the most natural and easy way to make consistent contact time and time again with every single club you have in your bag off the ground. Super excited to share that with you. Before I do though, look, if you're new to the channel, it's one of your first videos of mine, please consider subscribing. I release videos just like this every single week to try and help you improve your game. But you never have to remember a thing. I'll always put a free download practice guide in the description box below. So let's give you a very simple process to achieve a great strike with every club off the ground. Now, initially it just starts with some simple understanding. So the first step is this. Ultimately, look, every great ball striker strikes the ball first. There's no ground contact at all. The ground contact with the club actually happens just after that golf ball. Now, how do they achieve it? Well, they achieve it with a natural downward angle of attack. So if I put an alignment stick here just opposite inside my trail foot, and I get myself set here, I'm going to comfortably miss that alignment stick on the way down and strike this ball, okay? Now, when I get people, even with just a club and a half gap between that alignment stick here, what the average player would do would be, they'd come down here, they would hit the ground roughly where the ball is, and they'd almost, if not clatter into that cane as they're doing it, okay? This is what we've got to stop. This is where the inconsistencies lie. So I'm going to show you naturally how you can strike that ball, then the turf. Now, it starts with a great setup. So what I'd love you to do now, if you can, is maybe just pause the video, take a moment, get yourself set up, and grab two balls. So take your normal setup here. Once you're set up and I feel comfortable, what I want you to do now is this. Take a ball and simply hold it in the middle of your sternum. Now from here, very calmly, just drop it. Where did my ball actually hit the ground? Right over the top of the golf ball. Why is that important? Well, if my sternum's over the top of the ball, when I make a pivot from here, I'm pivoting over the ball, I'm increasing my likelihood that I'm going to strike the ball, then the ground. What I saw with many of my students this week, when they dropped the ball here, they were back here, and the ball was dropping way too far behind. They're already in a position to hit where? Up on the ball and ground that club behind the golf ball. So simple thing that anyone can do, okay? The second thing that can really help just at setup is this. Get yourself set here, and we don't want to strike the ball like this. We want to strike it with a slight lean of the shaft, only slight, okay? Opposite inside lead leg. So why not just start there? If you put the club there, put it on the inside lead leg, simply start in a place with your sternum of the ball and the lead handle on the inside thigh, and you're already in a place, look, to strike that ball. Great setup is your foundation. This is step number one. So step number two, and I promised you an effortless way to achieve great ball striking. So don't fall for this real misinterpretation. Too many golfers are trying so hard to improve the quality of the strike, and it should be effortless. So let me explain. So this golf club, if you want to hit the ball long as well, you want ultimately club head speed, and you want this to be effortless. So look at this here. My club now is swinging with complete momentum, okay? I am not trying to hold an angle. I'm not trying to push my hands ahead. I'm simply swinging the club with momentum. Now, what gets the handle naturally at the correct place is simply the way you move your body, okay? At no stage am I hanging onto this club and trying to hold the angle. It ruins your speed, robs you of all your speed, and ruins your strike. So, I want this club to swing as freely as possible. Let me just show you an example. So when I'm swinging here, if I don't move my body correctly, you can see here, look, the club will flick and the club head very quickly will pass the butt end, and that's your flicky, horrible strike. But if I move my body correctly, I will naturally create lag and a perfect strike without even trying. There's no effort for me to hold that angle there. It's happening beautifully naturally. Now, let me show you how you do that, but obviously under a controlled manner. You don't want this kind of flicky club all over the place. That's also weak. So get yourself set up. And we said, look, I want you to get this club swinging with some momentum. Now, if I just did this with my wrists, it would look very wristy like this. We don't want that. So what I'm doing now is to give you that lovely controlled look, effortless look that you see with the best players. All I'm doing here is I'm moving my rib cage basically around and back. All I'm doing is as I move my rib cage around and back, it looks like I'm controlling this club. I am, but the club is still swinging, look, effortlessly. On the way through, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to use my rib cage and I'm going to unwind it this way. And as I come through, look at this. It looks like I might be holding the angle, but I'm not. The club is swinging beautifully freely and those angles are held naturally, so I've still got the club head speed. Super important. So start really small with this initially, just to get the feeling. Get yourself set up here, and all I'm going to do here is really soften my arms off and really feel like that rib cage is moving around and back, and we're going to play a few small shots here and enjoy the rib cage basically controlling, look, the entire motion. Now, the one big common fault when I gave this to a couple of the guys was they felt as though sometimes they were moving the club with momentum, but the problem is what they were doing is they were just doing it with their hands and their arms and their shoulders. Why I love the rib cage as a guide with this is when you move your rib cage, you're kind of moving the shoulders as well. So it's just a great way to kind of direct and guide the momentum of this golf club. If you don't move your rib cage, you can start to throw the weight around and then you've really lost control of the club completely. So the rib cage is a great guide. One of them asked me, well, Danny, but when do you naturally bend the wrist? Well, if you look at this here, look, when I swing the club with momentum, all of that happens naturally. So what we call is passive wrist. You don't force them to bend. So as I simply work on that rib cage, working backwards and forwards, I'm now creating momentum in that golf club, okay? But there's one thing that would stop you striking that ball in the ground, even with this. So you've got momentum, you've got setup, you've got momentum, but you really need step 3 to kind of finish the job off and pure those strikes. So step number 3, and none of the first 2 steps will work unless you answer these first 2 questions correctly, okay? So this first question is this: when you're over the golf ball, what is your target? What is your target? Now, most of my students said, well, Danny, of course, it's just out there, straight down the middle of the fairway or the middle of the green. I said, great. So then answer me this next question. You're over the golf ball here. You get to the top of the backswing here and you're coming down. What's your target? Every single one of them said something like, the ball, Danny. Or a few of them said, look, I've been trying to hit ahead of the golf ball, so I'm focusing on hitting ahead of the golf ball. All of those things will completely and utterly ruin what you do. Why? Because here's the thing. Your job is to direct the momentum of your golf swing and this club, right? So when your target starts to become too much down here, down where the golf ball is here, this is what happens. Look at this. If I start to let this club swing with momentum, and my body starts to stop because somewhere in this vicinity becomes my intention, my focal point, suddenly the club will automatically, look, without me trying, release. But as soon as I connect to my target and I maintain some form of intention out there, watch the difference now. You get the perfect movement forward. You get body rotation forward. Why? Because the target is drawing out your mechanics. It draws out your mechanics when your intention's down here, which creates the flick, and it will draw out great mechanics if your intention is to go in this direction. So how can you train this? So this is the simplest exercise I know to achieve this, okay? Now I'm gonna, whether you're right-handed playing golf, left-handed, or vice versa, we'll cover you both hands, right? So when you're playing, we said, look, we want to have some momentum. You start to create that now by controlling it with the rib cage. Now what I want you to do is realize this. There are 2 targets in golf, that target and this target. How do you merge the 2 together? Well, if we just threw a ball out here, forward, your body, without even thinking, if we do an underarm throw, your body naturally wouldn't do this. It would naturally flow through. This forward momentum of the body creates beautiful angles and beautiful compression on your strike. But it's not quite an underarm throw in golf. We want to hit down here. So here's what I want you to do. Grab a ball, and I've got my palm facing the ground. I'm going to now do 2 things. I'm going to bounce the golf ball right there, just ahead of this ball here, but I want that bounce to then bounce and go over the basket in front of us. So it's going to look something like this. Like that. Now what I love about this is this. I've got a down pressure going there, but I've also got the intention of not just bouncing it there, but also flying it directly over this basket. Now you could do that also if you're left-handed playing golf right-handed. Just hold it in the back of your hand here. Slightly tricky for me, I'm not being left-handed, but I'm gonna imagine throwing the ball down here. I'm not left-handed. Let's try that one again. Good practice there. So I'm gonna throw it back at my hand here, bang. Okay, and I would try and get that lined up here to throw directly over that basket here. Brilliant exercise, because what it does now is this. It brings in two targets. Our target is not the golf ball, right? Our target is out there, but we need to have an eye on this one. So what I'm gonna do now is this. I've got my momentum swinging here, right? Now all I'm gonna do is imagine, in a sense, tossing that ball, look, or in this case the club, down there, while simultaneously going towards my target. So look at this, it looks like this. If I was throwing one-handed, it'll look like this. 1, 2, yeah? Does that make sense? Great exercises to really get momentum going forward, but also letting the club come down so you get a beautiful compression. And again, we start small with this. So I'm just picturing my target out there. I'm gonna throw the club down while simultaneously moving through. I've just ripped that one straight down the middle of that fairway. So 3 steps, get yourself set up first of all. Feel some momentum, don't force these angles, you don't need to. That just ruins the effortless look in your golf swing. Feel the momentum of the club. Then look, connect that momentum, not to just staying down here. This will just lead to that flicky impact position. To keep that handle ahead, we're gonna connect this to this. So I'm throwing the club down, while simultaneously bouncing it on the ground and towards my target. I start really small with this with all my students. 1, oh, ripper. Simple as that. 3 steps that will lead you to a much more effortless flowing motion. Start small, get the strike, then gradually build it up. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, maybe share it with one of your friends. And if you want to keep advancing this strike, maybe moving on to things like your fairway woods, check this video out right here. If you want to see a live lesson of me giving this kind of momentum, check Adam's lesson out right here. It's an absolute belter. But until next week, have a wonderful golfing week.